So I got some new parts here to work on the interior of my 77 C10, and so I did order a brand new dash pad, new vinyl, just kind of the basic black dash pad, nothing real fancy to it. My truck, when I bought it, somebody had installed an 81 through 87 dash in there, so I did order the correct 73 through 80 dash to go into my, like I said, 77. I got the hardware to install the dash. Got new antenna mounts. This little snaps into the windshield, the antenna on the windshield, and then this goes from this piece down to the radio. And then lastly, ordered up some new speakers. These are 3.5 inch in diameter. They're made by a company called Ordinance. I'm not familiar with this company, but they were inexpensive. They were about $20 from Crutchfield, and there were quite a few very nice reviews of these speakers. So I'm not an audiophile. There were other speakers available that were $200 a pair. That's just not my style. I'm not going to put $200 speakers into this truck. So plus I got to put more. I do need some other speakers as well, but these will be for the dash. I'll have to custom make a mount for these, and I'll show you that here in just a second. So this is the new parts, new dash pads, some new hardware, some new speakers. So let me show you the inside of the truck, and we'll get started on this. So here's the inside of the truck. I've got the new dash, the new gauge bezel installed, and I've got those autometer gauges. I do have a series of videos of how I installed those autometer gauges behind that factory bezel, and I'll annotate a link to that. But pretty much everything else is about ready. It's already installed, including new windshield and new weather stripping here. The defrost vents are reinstalled. Everything's ready to go. So the first thing I'm actually going to start with is I got to custom make a mount for these speakers. So I've got some sheet metal to fab up a quick mount for the two speakers. They'll be kind of one, and you know, they'll be side by side in that speaker hole. So let me get that sheet metal, and we'll get started fabricating that mount. So here's where I am so far with the speaker fabrication. I'm using 14 gauge steel to make my little bracket. Now that's quite a bit thicker than what I really need, but that's what I have laying around. My next option is 1/8 inch, which is way too thick for this. So I've measured out the plate that I'm going to cut out. I'm 10 1/4 long, 4 1/4 wide, and this will get fancied up once I cut this plate out. So just like with most speaker kits, they always include, or they usually include, a little speaker template for the hole size that you need to cut out. So I've already cut that out, and I've drawn that on to my bracket, and so I'm going to go ahead and leave this. I'm not going to cut out my bracket just yet. I'm going to cut these holes out first. I've mentioned this in several of my videos. I generally like to, when I'm making a smaller bracket, I generally like to leave the whole sheet. It gives me more area to clamp. The work piece doesn't move around as much, especially something like cutting holes where you're pulling in all different directions. And I'm probably going to use my little electric body saw to cut these out. So I'm going to drill some holes in here, drop my body saw in here, cut out these holes, and then I'll go ahead and cut out my main bracket. So we're ready to go mount this plate under the dash of the truck, and I've drilled some very small little pilot holes, 4 of them, and they're not symmetrical, and they're kind of like that for a reason. I mean, it's pretty difficult to get the drill under there, so these are in the places where it's going to be the easiest for me to drill, because I'm going to have to go from underneath the dash because of the windshield is going to be slanting down like that, so I'm not going to be able to get the drill going down into the dash from the top. So let me go get this set in place, and we'll go drill our holes under the dash. The final hole sizes are drilled in both the speaker bracket and in the dash. So I'm just taking this time to kind of fancy it up a little bit and round off these sharp corners. I just got one more here to cut and grind on, and then we'll be ready to put the speakers in there and bolt it into the truck. Well, the bracket's finished. I threw a little bit of flat black paint on it, and I got the speakers bolted into place. I'm just using number 8 hardware to hold those speakers in place, and I'm also going to be using the number 8 hardware to hold the speaker assembly to the dash of the truck. So let's go get started on that. Now, I can't just put this speaker panel flat up against the bottom of the dash, and the reason is because the dash pad itself, it's going to sit flush with this area right here on either side of the speaker. It's not going to sit flat here, but it does sit flat against here. And with the speakers that I have, the tweeter dome is sticking up high, that I'm worried that it'll be touching the bottom of the dash pad. So what I picked up these little nylon spacers. They're 3/8 of an inch in height, and I'm going to use those between the dash and the speaker assembly underneath there, something like that, to drop the speakers just a little bit so that I'm not going to have any interference when I put my dash pad in place. So one of the main reasons I went with these Allen head bolts instead of, say, a Phillips head screw or anything like that is I can't get the screwdriver at a good angle to tighten down these two screws, especially the two that are closest to the windshield. But even these back here, that's not a very good angle. That's going to strip the head of the screw. So I just go with an Allen head, and I can put the wrench in there just fine, and I got tons of room there. So just put that on there, put the ratchet underneath, and start snugging these down. The speakers are completely bolted in place, and all we really need to do is take a straight edge and put it on here, even down low here on the edge where the dash pad doesn't rest, and putting a straight edge on there. I've got about 1/8 of an inch of clearance between the top of the tweeters and my straight edge, and that's not even exactly where, like I said, where the dash pad rests. It actually rests up here, and up there we're better than 1/4 of an inch. So we're not going to have any interference issues at all with our speakers. So this part, aside from wiring them up, this part's finished. I don't have a stereo yet, so I can't wire them up. So now we're just ready to come in here and put our new dash pad in place.